Thank you very much for all the years of support. I think the last 13 years you've been on the ABC. We've all loved listening to you. You've all been insightful. You've made us laugh. Sometimes at you, not always with you, with that laugh of yours, but we've loved it. We're definitely going to miss you. You've been a huge supporter of spin bowling, especially leg spin bowling. You've been a great help for a long period of time. You helped me out in my career right at the start, and through the years you've always been, as I said, a wonderful supporter for spin bowling, mate. So we wish you all the best. I wish you weren't going. We would love to keep listening to it. I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone in Australia. Keep up the good work, mate. Good luck in the future, and thanks for the memories. You've been a star.
When was the last time I saw an Australian chickening out of a challenge?
They want me to have a crack.
They're giving me a slow hand clap. Go on, Kerry.
Look, out there. What do you eat? Tempting with a yellow apple.
Ashwin bowls and Clark goes forward in defence. If I was even, you or Adam, we'd be in danger.
The world wouldn't have started. I hate you in blue.
Just to induce shame among all Australians, I'm actually going to have a little piece.
Are you going to
myself.
have a piece?
Yes.
Go. Anything? How's your tongue?
Water.
Water boy. Medic! Medic!
Commentary for a while.
Hottest chili in the world.
And after this ball, it's going to be Jim Maxwell, I think.
Oh, look, I think it's obviously going to be a sad day not having that amazing laugh on radio anymore. He not only was a fantastic cricketer, but I think Kerry's been a lovely man and somebody it's been an honour to actually meet and get to know. I think the listeners will certainly miss him, but hopefully we can still find a way to get him around cricket. I think the game needs great people like Kerry.
Lofted by Warner with the breeze. How far's that going? All the way for 6.
Taxi!
Stop the fight.
Somebody chuck in a towel. It was nice working with you.
There we go, Kerry. Yeah, there's been a lot of that. The one thing that's changed, and I don't know whether it's been deliberate on your part, is the laugh. There hasn't been so much of the maniacal laugh in times. Is that deliberate?
Well, I think it is, Jim, because so many people come up to me and would say, oh, gee, when you take away your laugh, Kerry, there's not much there. And so I thought I lack substance. So I have deliberately gone a little bit more analytical, hoping that the purist out there just doesn't turn off because it's all fluff and laughter. So it hasn't been overly deliberate, but it has happened in the passage of time. Yeah.
And how else have you modified your rapture, your performance as you've gone over 13 years? What have you been conscious of trying to do?
Initially, when I first started all those 13 summers ago, I just thought that I would still be the analyst, but I got distracted straight away. And then I went through a period where I felt I had to produce fluff. And then as the years have gone on, I've thought the fluff will be there if I can add it after a platform of traditional ABC cricket commentary. And that's why I think I just got it right at the end. And you were responsible for that because you came back through it. You came up through the traditional way of covering cricket, and the fact that I wanted to go such a tangent away from that, but eventually returned with the balance, and that's been I think I'm more satisfied with that I came back with the right balance rather than make it complete fluff and light.
But the important aspect of all that is you're doing cricket. If you were doing football, you couldn't do a lot of this. You've got so much space. And is that what you've been conscious of? And I gather not all of it's instinctive.
Oh, no. And mate, radio is my medium because I've tried television and I just couldn't quite be comfortable at it. The stiffness of it and the regimentation and all that goes with commercial television. But in radio, and particularly ABC Grandstand Test Cricket, I just found a medium, and I went back to my wife after a couple of years and said, I just love this. I just want this never to end. And I look forward to every summer. I look forward to every day. And I'd go home and sit at dinner with her and say, I can't believe that I'm going to be paid for today, you know, because I had such a good time. It seemed unfair. I still accepted it, but it seemed I was just indulging my passion and was remunerated. I couldn't believe it. And that's why these last 13 summers have been so enjoyable.
So we have to go and speak to her to influence your return to the microphone next summer.
I'll give it a couple of months until she rings you.
Has she tried to talk you out of it, though?
She said, look, whatever you want to do. But she said, you know, there's a lot of support out there. And I have been stunned and humbled by the amount of support out there. I knew that there were some there. But, you know, people that would walk past you now and say good morning, now come up and say, what are you doing? You know, that Australian way, you don't have to say anything, you can say good morning. But then when something that really captures their attention and they feel they have to comment, they actually grab you and say, what are you doing? So that has been humbling. And but mate, there is a time to go, and I'm comfortable that I've just and it's been the product, not just me. The product I've just loved being part of, and I've worked with some wonderful people, yourself included. I've had a ball for 13 summers, and as I said, I'm not considering anything else. I'm not doing anything else. But this is just you know, this is where I do get emotional because it changed my life, you know, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, just while you're thinking about some of the things that have occurred to you as a result of these 13 years, and they've been wonderful years for all of us to be working with you. It's been very, very special. Got a bit of a pick here about something that we're mixed up with, when Michael Clarke made a triple century at the SCG.
I think he should go ramp shot. A ramp for 6. Well, how good would that be?
Clarke on 299. Ishant Sharma moves in and he's forward and he whips it away. It's 300. 300 runs to Michael Clarke. The 6th Australian to do that. He raises his arms in triumph, holding his helmet aloft, pumping the air as he goes, and the crowd are cheering, and well they might, because in their lifetime they may never see this happen again at this famous ground. It's taken 135 years, and he touches his bat to the crowd. They've been waiting for a long while. At last there's a triple century, and it's a golden moment for the Australian captain. And there have been quite a few of those. Another one for him today, receiving the McGillivray medal, which you voted on for the 2013 ABC Test Cricketer of the Year. And that 13 years pretty much encompasses Michael Clarke's career.
It does, and I was at the Cricket Academy coaching when he first came there as a 17-year-old, and I'll never forget him. He had the mullet, of course, and he looked very Sydney Western suburbs, and his evolution has been amazing. But even then, he looked a player of great class, and I didn't think I'd ever see a 300 at the SCG. You know, there were times where Brian Lara would have got it. You were here. We were here for that. There were times where Ravi Shastri, I thought, would get one, but to see MJ Clarke, a boy from Sydney, so doubted by around the country, you know, not genuinely accepted for a number of strange reasons, to get 300, and you called it. I was in commentary with you, and the moment that he got it, I just felt for Michael Clarke that battle to win the country had been won, and it was a great moment in Australian cricket to see the Australian captain completely accept it, whereas, of course, when he'd walked out to captain previously, he'd been booed when he replaced Ricky Ponting. So that was a great moment for him, for Sydney, and they rose to him, didn't they? It was a great moment.
There have been lots of great moments, and another one that you were part of was with Jonathan Agnew, of course, that amazing afternoon when Steve Waugh got close to 100 that very few of us thought that he would achieve that evening, because he can always come back tomorrow. And let's go back and recap that little bit of Ashes history with Kerry O'Keefe and Jonathan Agnew.
One ball remains. Will Waugh dare come down the pitch and try and hit Dawson over the top?
I think he's going to run down the pitch.
But he could come back tomorrow. He could come back, have a good old Harmison, a bit of a loosener on the leg stump, pick it off the two.
Stuff the silver, we come for the gold. Poms had come back tomorrow. Aussies want it now. We're instant people. Come on, Stephen.
Now, Vaughan's coming in. And deep mid-wicket's coming in.
He's going to play the slog sweep. All three are going over, or he gets this 100. If Dawson pitches middle and off, he's in the frame, but so Steve Waugh, because he's just, you know he's going to play this stroke.
Oh, this is...
It's death or glory off the last ball of the third day.
He's going to block it. 2:33 for 5. Here we go. Dawson comes up and bowls to Waugh, who drives through the offside for his 100. That is extraordinary. And Steve Waugh, a man of little emotion, can barely restrain himself now. His helmet's off. Oh, he's waving his bat. Alex Stewart shakes his hand. You could not have scripted anything more remarkable than what we have seen here this afternoon.
Yes, that was exceptional, and you were right there on the moment. It was the death or glory for Steve Waugh.
And it's amazing. I wasn't rostered to be on. I'm so proud that Caroline Davison, Grace, said Peter Roebuck, the much respected Peter Roebuck was there, and Grace said, Kerry, just step in for the last 15 minutes. And I said, no, and Roby had to write or something. So I stepped in, and I was just part of that emotional moment. And Aggers called it brilliantly. But, and we're all here in the old box, and that crowd, the reaction when he smacked it through the covers, it was like 45,000 guns going off at once. I've never seen, and everybody had their arms extended above their heads. It was just one of the magic moments of cricket, of sport, that this is why we're in broadcasting, for those sort of moments. And I was part of it with Agnew, and it was great.
You were the part of it with a lot of people, and we've got one of them as a special guest on the line from India. He's somewhere out there in the ether. Good afternoon, or good morning it'd be. Harsha.
Very good morning to you, Jim, and good morning to you, Kerry.
Harsha, good morning to you, mate. Great to hear your voice.
Good to know you can still pick my accent, Kerry.
The call came through. It's Harsha from Mumbai.
Not the weatherman from Darwin,
not a
just
prank
me.
call.
No.
How are you, fella?
I'm very well. I'm astonished. I'm like one of those Aussies you meet on the road and say, what are you doing? I'm trying to get Aussie, as you know. You tried but failed.
I did. Oh, look, mate, I've just had 13 of the best summers, and I just decided that maybe it's time. And I'm going to miss it, of course, but I've had the best time. I've never had a better time. 50 to 63 was my best 13 years, and they were in broadcasting with ABC, Grandstand, and you, of course.
But you know, Kerry, when a good batsman is in form, he just keeps scoring runs. I remember telling you once that Tendulkar was going through a bad patch, and you just laughed your head off for the next 2 overs, and as always, I wondered why. And you said, I'll tell you what a bad patch is. You said it took me 15 years to get a gig with the ABC. That's what a bad patch is.
Yes, it's funny having harangued them to give me a chance for 2 decades. When they eventually do, I don't see out 2 decades myself. But
I know. Look at you, the contrarian.
Yeah, but it's been terrific. And I will miss you, because I know that you didn't quite get my stuff initially, and you were on Google a lot to work out what I was talking about. And you spent most of your time on Google.
especially with that. Who was that? Who was that deep-voiced, mushy, romantic singer
Barry
you tried to
White.
get me to listen to? I know, and you played a song from him, and you kept asking me names, and I'd never heard of him, of course. So I've gone Googling him. And then I came back and said, Kerry, I hope you've heard of this one, and you laughed for the next 2 overs again because you just played that song.
Yeah, and it was only through Google that you got onto Barry White.
But now, no, I should have asked you, of course, because your taste was like that. But you wouldn't associate sort of very soft, mushy, romantic numbers. I'd walk down the sunset with you, hand in hand kind of music with you.
No. But mate, thank you for being part of my experience. I done a lot broadcasting with you.
No, it's been fun, Kerry, largely because you're not just this comic who laughs at his own jokes. You did a little bit of that too. But I enjoyed the fact that you were a serious, romantic cricket lover, and that always came through.
Thank you.
Good on you, Harsha. We've got some chilies in the box for you for next summer. Looking forward to sharing them with you. The Nagas.
Yes, the day Kerry was so un-Aussie and backed off from a challenge.
And mate, look, I will make us. If there's Nagas here next summer, I'll just come up to eat them with you, with the crowd support, of course.
Just a teaspoonful. But Kerry, go well. I always thought that with you and Peter Roebuck, and you were two best summarizers I worked with, and I just thought both of you stood for cricket. So have an absolutely great time, and listen next year when we're around.
Very much appreciate that, Harsha. Thank you.
Good on you, Harsha. Yep, we'll catch up with you as we go. And Aggers has joined us from next door, and it's your opportunity now, Aggers. He's been ribbing you for the best part of 13 years, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. Yeah, I remember the first time we were at the Gabba, and I came to join the commentary team. You know what it's like? We're running backwards and forwards, box to box, and I don't think I'd popped in to say hello to you yet, start of the series. And you ushered me into my seat, and I jumped in, put the headphones on, thought, right, okay, and I hadn't met this bloke. And then I could feel behind there was this sort of a bit of a laughter from you lot, thinking, how's this going to go? You know, sort of snigger. Aggers hasn't met this this Kerry O'Keefe, and I didn't know. And that next 20 minutes, I remember thinking, good grief, who is this? Who is this person? While at the same time, sort of figuratively, sort of tightening one's seatbelt, because the great thing about this job is that, you know, you can just sit down and do it and get through your 20 minutes, and you can knock off a spell, you go next door and do it again. But actually, what makes each stint is the person that you're sitting with. And with Kerry, and there are very few people like Kerry, obviously, thankfully, but you don't know where you're going to go. And that's what I love about working with Kerry, because you don't have any scripts, obviously we never do. It's always going to be funny. It's always going to be completely unpredictable. It'll almost certainly be very dangerous. And we had one this morning.
Of course.
But that's what people love. You know, people, you know, and what I love about working with Kerry, and again, it happens with very few people, and you can feel it on this ground, even the old box. Something about it, you can hear people laughing in the ground. And that's very rare. You know, you don't hear that anywhere else, because, you know, here's a funny so-and-so. And that's what it is. And you can't be funny all the time, and you can't force it. But it's just, there's that lovely unpredictability of sitting down, deep breath, right, where are we going to go? And from that first 20 minutes at the Gabba that time, all those years ago, it's always been the same, and I love it.
Talk about the danger. What dangerous moment comes to mind?
Well, the danger is usually with innuendo, with Kerry. That's where we went this morning. Completely. I mean, people must never think it is contrived or anything.
No.
But just because it's edgy, isn't it? I mean, you can be safe and just talk about the off drive or someone's bowling well or something.
You remember getting onto the subject of fagging a few series ago?
Yes, I did remember that one. And you see, that's where the beauties of the language, of course, can be confusing. Fagging, in our sense, is what one does at school. And I'd better clarify that as well.
Yes.
Because it actually means looking after an older person at school, and I better clarify that as well, because actually what it means is that if you need someone to empty the bins or clean your shoes or something, it's quite an old-time thing. But James Whittaker, actually, who's our new national selector here, he was my fag at school. He's 2 years younger than me. He'd go off and, if something's doing, warm the toilet seat on a winter's morning, which fag? And Whittaker would come running out and do it. Now, of course, your interpretation of fagging...
yeah, is different.
I seem to recall was different. And the beauty of these things are, of course, is that there'll be a blank face initially because I don't know where he's going, and I can't make the connection. But I do remember you took us off in a very, very dangerous direction then.
I did. But the thing is, as much as I've thrown stuff at you over our commentary stints together, yesterday you got back again. I mean, people, I said we're talking about broadcasting.
Yes.
And I said, my commentary style isn't suited to television. And straight away you said, it isn't suited to radio either. And I looked it up on Twitter. Somebody tweeted it as great shtick. And I thought, nobody will retweet this. 45 retweeted it. 48 as their favourites.
Oh, well,
please.
No.
So that was a good get.
I know. But what I will say about Kerry, again, is that, and I know you've played that Steve Waugh clip, which was, we shared that together, and it's nice. You those moments, and Steve's 100 here, I can still see it. Whenever the ball goes out to the Brawongle, it sort of flashes back. For all the laughter, for all the messing around, for all the ridiculous laugh, for all the deliberate wind-ups and everything else, that was an example of professionalism of Kerry O'Keefe, because sometimes you sit with a summariser and as soon as something happens, they're speaking all over you. As a commentator, it's incredibly frustrating. It's the first thing that any expert summariser ever learns. You only speak when actually you're supposed to speak. You let the commentator paint the picture. And for all the messing around and everything else, and having quite a lively build-up to that, you managed to keep your mouth shut.
I did.
Until the whole thing had happened and Steve Waugh actually left the ground, and then you said it. So,
and I was busting to say, in your face, Agus. I knew you were.
I knew you were. But for once in your life, you showed some professionalism.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny enough to be part of that with you. And it was a great moment in Australian cricket.
It was.
And the next morning I saw you, and this is how, it's not just a job, because you were still overwhelmed to be part of that. I remember seeing you and saying, I still can't get over the feeling that I had on air during that moment.
I think possibly because I was doing it, I might have been doing it on the BBC next door, but actually I was here describing it for Australians.
Yes.
And I suppose I felt a bit guilty.
I thought you pulled your punches.
Jim might not have been doing it or something, but actually wouldn't have made it because it was you and me having a bit of a banter about the Poms and the Aussies and all that sort of stuff. And I had some amazing letters and emails and things after that from people describing where they were when they stopped usually their cars or their utes out in the bush and stopped and listened. And that again is what this is all about, isn't it?
I cannot go anywhere in Australia without people coming up and saying, what about you and Agnew that time?
Yeah, it was a magic moment.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for any kudos from it, but I'm just humbled to have been part of that moment of broadcasting cricket.
Kerry O'Keefe's humble. Hang on, whoa.
No, it's true. I'm humbled, briefly.
And we took it to the bush a few times on those tours, didn't we, Kerry? And we played it to the crowd, and they just loved it.
Oh, they
but
did.
the thing, the joke, the story that they all want to hear is this one.
Oh, no.
A frog goes into a bank and approaches the teller. He can tell from a nameplate that her name is Patricia Wack. Miss Wack, I'd like to get a $30,000 loan to take a holiday.
Bracken to Sangakkara, who leaves the ball moving away from him.
Paddy looks at the frog in disbelief and asks his name. The frog says his name is Kermit Jagger. His dad is Mick Jagger, and that it's okay. He knows the bank manager. Paddy explains that he will need to secure the loan with some collateral. The frog says, sure, I have this. And he produces a tiny porcelain elephant, about an inch tall, bright pink, and perfectly formed.
Just going to take many hopes. Bracken running away from us again, and Sangakkara another leave.
Very confused, Paddy explains that she'll have to consult with the bank manager and disappears into the back office. She finds the manager and says, there's a frog called Kermit Jagger out there who claims to know you and wants to borrow $30,000 and he wants to use this as collateral. She holds up the tiny pink elephant. I mean, what in the world is this? The bank manager looks back at her and says, it's a knick-knack, Paddy Wack. Give the frog a loan. His old man is a Rolling Stone.
Bracken to Sangakkara, who defends down to Martin at mid-off, and there's no run.
G'day, Kerry. You'll be happy to know that I haven't died as yet of citrus poisoning. Mate, I know what you've done over the years. Hasn't been rocket surgery. But boy, oh boy, you've been entertaining. It was fantastic to sit alongside you for all those years, and in the last couple of seasons, just to sit back as an average punter. When I think of you, so many words come to mind. Humble, entertaining, insightful, Mate, I can't read your handwriting. I'm sorry, mate, but all the best. I hope you have a great retirement. And more importantly, you may have the time now to finally write out my part of the royalties cheque for that damn frog joke. Catch you, big fella.
Dear old Glenn Mitchell, many thanks to him.
Crazy. But the timing, I mean, I'm assuming, I didn't obviously hear that live, but was the cricket quite quiet then? Was it sort of a quietish passage of play?
It was 3 dot balls in a limited over international.
You can't launch into a joke like that in a one-day international.
No, and Glenn McGrath was bowling, so there was potential for something to happen.
Now, this will tear you up. We've got
God.
a very special presentation. And look who's here
Princess
to see you.
Grace is here. Caroline Davis.
I'll make way. I'll see you later.
Okay, Agus.
Come on, Caroline.
Good on you, Agus.
Dear, oh dear.
Carolina, come in. Look at this.
Oh, Gracie.
It says, Kerry, farewell.
Oh, you're beautiful. Thanks for coming along. You do.
Carolina.
It's this day for the world, Kerry.
Oh, well, thanks.
Like my naughty child who's done extremely well, and we're all very, very proud of you.
Oh, well,
How
thank you very much.
have you been going at the 25-minute mark?
Look,
that always used to be a
I
worry
always
for
look
me.
over my left shoulder because Grace thinks at the 25-minute mark of my 30 minutes, she gets nervous because I get distracted. So every 25 minutes, I just look over at Ned, and there's no problem. Go with it. You were such a hard teacher.
I was. But look how well you've done.
Oh, well, thank you, Grace.
You know,
and
it's fantastic,
it's great to see you. You're looking great, Nick. Well done.
Thank you.
I didn't think you'd let yourself go.
Thank you. You neither. No, you've had a wonderful career, Kerry, and it has been. I mean, everybody has said what a joy it has been to work with you, and it was just a delight every day. You never knew what was coming. It was always good, though. Whatever came our way, it was always good, and we all thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think the best thing for me, Kerry, was when we used to sit further along, not in this beautiful box that you're in now. When you would tell a joke, everybody in the members stand, they were just like your best audience, weren't they? Because they would turn around and you would know whether or not that had been a good joke, a bad joke, a medium joke. That was fantastic. And to hear the crowd roar and turn around and sort of salute you, it was just fantastic.
Yeah,
it was
well,
wonderful.
Thanks, Grace. It was like doing stand-up comedy, wasn't
Pretty
it?
much.
You had an audience reaction immediately.
Pretty much, yes.
And I got a number of yellow cards, but you never red-carded me.
No, that would have been really grossly unfair, I think. You never really deserved to
Kevin
go fair
Muscat
completely.
got more yellow cards than I did.
Possibly. Possibly.
But look, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming along. You were so much, as I said, you said it was great every day. I got more out of it than you. I just love coming through those doors.
Yeah.
And seeing you sipping on your black tea with a little biscuit, and I thought, all is good with the world.
No, we had a good time. Thank you for the name Grace, which has stuck.
Oh,
which I appreciate.
and so
greatly.
appropriate, Gracie.
Thank you. Thank you. No, mutual admiration. But you've had a wonderful, wonderful career, and everybody has loved working with you.
Oh, well, thank
and
you.
we've had a great time all together.
We have.
Fantastic memories.
What else have we got there, Kerry? What's that?
Well, this isn't all about me, sadly. This is about you as well, Jim.
Huh?
And it's not a love-in. For 40 years, you've served cricket and the ABC, and it shouldn't be lost in any ether. You've been at the helm of everything that's been done in cricket in this country for 40 years, mate. And it's a token from everybody that's worked with you, everybody that's listened to you, everybody that's appreciated and respected you, that this has been struck. It's a cap to celebrate 40 years with ABC.
Wow, that is something. Thank you very, very much. As I've said often in the past, it's a privilege to be sitting here and having the opportunity to talk about this wonderful game and to share this box with you for 13 years, because you brought something to the game that we've never had before. A high quality of knowledge, a wonderful humour, and as Agus has said, you're unpredictable. And you're so unpredictable, I want to make sure some time between now and the next season you change your mind and come back, because we need you on the radio.
But mate, that cap was struck by Albion.
Isn't it a beauty?
The cap makers and Ned Hall and everybody that's worked with you in recent times, and all those over the years. It's so appropriate that you be capped after 40 years. Well done,
right.
mate.
Oh, well, this is something I will really treasure.
Well done, fella.
And this, yes, rather emotional moment, I have to say, sitting here with you and talking so nostalgically about something that everyone out there wants to go on forever.
And it's just appropriate that Grace is here. She's been an outstanding producer of ABC Cricket. You've been there for 40 years. Drew Morfitt, Glenn Mitchell before him. Everybody I've worked with, Quentin Hull, Patrick, all the current mob, Patrick Folkes, but everybody, Harsha Bogle, Jonathan Agnew, Peter Roebuck, who we much miss, Neil Manthorpe, Fazir Mohammed, Zolani Bonko. You know, we could just go way back. In 13 years, I've gone through a few. Brian Waddle. But everybody around the country, Peter Walsh, all the linkers, Karen Tye, stunning. And such a, this has been, as I said, people say, oh, you work for the ABC. I do, but if you, the zeal and the commitment in everything I've ever had anything to do with ABC Grandstand has just been, it's been absolutely astonishing how everybody comes to work and to enjoy. And even if the day goes longer than it should, I've not heard one whinge in 13 summers. When play's been extended to 7:20, people have got things on hold. I have not heard anybody say, oh, come on. Nobody says that. You just get the job done. And it's a credit to you. You've steered the ship, Jim. Grace, you've been part of the ship. You've been up there at the front with Leonardo DiCaprio. But everybody, it's just been a ball, and I'm sad it's finishing. But next chapter. But we'll reflect for years and years about how much fun it's been.
Would you like to cut the cake, please?
Yes, I will.
Yes, we've got a cake here. Looks like it's got some chocolate. It's got a few frogs on it as well.
And if you touch the bottom, you have to kiss a girl. Quick! Sorry, Gracie. Planted one on your chin. But thank you very much indeed, Jim. Thank you very much, Ned Hall. It's been terrific.
Thank you for being on the ABC.
And well done on your cap, Jim. 40 years.
I'm loving it.
And
I can't see, but it looks good, doesn't it?
Celebrating 40 years of ABC.
Yeah.
Well done.